What a busy weekend it has been here at Vogan Weather. We did not one but two videos on Saturday. We've done the Tropical Outlook and the European Outlook in the evening. And then it was the live stream at 4 p.m. yesterday afternoon looking at Ashley and all things global. Very warm welcome to you and thanks for clicking on to the Monday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. We had Storm Ashley move through during the latter half of yesterday afternoon and through the overnight last night. This is a loop from EmuSat showing the evolution of Ashley crossing from the warm to the cold side of the jet. We've seen this leaf structure showing up the dry air intrusion and then the little spin up. Beautiful satellite presentation here showing rapid cyclogenesis, the pressure dropping well within rapid cyclogenesis criteria, and the system did pack quite the punch. We had a record wind gust at Tyree, the strongest wind since 2011 actually there. And as well as that, we've seen wave heights in excess of 64 feet off the Irish coastline. We've seen the west coast of Ireland getting battered during the afternoon, while winds were pretty quiet and calm over large areas of the mainland UK. Up here in the north, the winds didn't really pick up until well after dark, and then they did roar for an hour, a couple of hours, and then they started to ease back down once again as the core of that southern flank passed just to the north of this location here. So, like I said, we did see the strongest winds in Tyree for the month of October on record. 78 mile per hour was the strongest gust, according to the Met Office and according to BBC, for a low elevation area. Cairngorm Summit, I believe, hit 120 during the latter half of yesterday. We had Inverbervie at 75 miles an hour, South US 74, Dundrennan 66, Salisbury 63, and Edinburgh 54 miles per hour. And I do believe that there was a few spots on Ireland that recorded winds in excess of 80 miles per hour. So Ashley did certainly pack a punch, and we not only seen some very strong winds during the overnight period, we've seen exceptionally mild temperatures also, and we've seen some record warm temperatures during the overnight period last night in Denmark. So obviously ahead of the system, a lot of southerly flow rushing northwards here, and Denmark recorded a temperature overnight above 14 Celsius, including the capital Copenhagen, a minimum of 14.2, a record for so late in the season. And if we do look at some of the records, we'll have a pile of records fallen in the last 24 hours or so, especially up across Scandinavia. And it's all courtesy of this system moving in off the Atlantic, rapid deepening, but it also draws and sucks the air out of Africa and the Mediterranean up in through Eastern and Central Europe. And that has allowed temperatures to be record warm across northern portions of Europe here. So you can see this here up close. I'll go through a couple of records just to show you. And there we go here, 14 Celsius for a low. It was a near daily high record here. But I do believe that was a record minimum for the month of October in Copenhagen. We had several spots, minimum temperatures, maximums as well as minimums across a broad area of Norway, Sweden and Finland, as you can see here. So daily record highs and, like I say, minimums recorded during the last 24 hours or so, and even down across parts of Western Europe. We've seen temperatures as high as 22 in Frankfurt. We've got a temperature in France as high as 23, and then several areas down across the south and southwest of France recording temperatures as high as 25 Celsius. So very, very warm to the second half of October, all courtesy and aided by, we've got the very strong positive North Atlantic oscillation at the moment. A lot of troughiness, deep lows up towards Iceland and Greenland, strong high pressure near the Azores, and you've got that southwesterly flow in general, but it's actually enhanced by that system moving in from the west. Looking at the pressure over the last 12 hours or so, so here is Ashley on the Meteoseel pressure chart, roaring across the north of Lewis here at 960 millibars, and then you can see the pressure rising as it's been crossing the centre of the circulation itself. Stayed to the north of the mainland UK, if you notice, but then You can see this real tight squeeze in the isobars. Got 969 millibars just to the northwest of Orkney, while you've got pressure as high as 1015 millibars on the south coast. In fact, 1017 millibars. So that is a very, very tight gradient between Orkney and the south coast of the UK, hence why we've had such strong westerly winds across the board. So looking at winds in kilometres per hour, like I say, 78 miles per hour record gust on the Isle of Tiree, but we did see winds in excess of 120 miles per hour over Cairngorm. Widespread 50-60 miles per hour was recorded, and we'll play through this loop. You can see the reds representing these very powerful gusts as the core passed just to the north of mainland UK, with gusts in excess of 99 kilometres per hour at Tain, for example. What would that constitute to in gusts? 61 miles per hour recorded at Tain. I believe Loch Skarnak was well over 100 kilometres per hour, so you're talking 60-65 miles per hour quite widely across northern areas of the UK, especially in exposed areas in particular. But that system is now clearing out, and we are seeing those winds rise, and the pressure really dropped quite quickly from 1,000 millibars to 974 within the space of about 8 hours here at the house. Then they rose equally as quick, 978 millibars to start this morning, back into the above 1,000 millibars by the time we reached midday. So quite a swing in the pressure as well as the strength of the winds. They really did pick up very rapidly during the overnight period, and then they calmed down quite dramatically as well as that system pulled through. So, like I say, some very impressive stats coming out of the UK due to Storm Ashley, the first named storm of the season. Look at this here. This is an incredible video here captured by our good friend Shrine Bruin in Dublin here, showing the waves. This is basically this is Dublin, and I think it's Hillbeg Lighthouse at high tide. So you can see the ferry crossing moving out into the open Irish Sea. I'm sure that was a pretty rough crossing yesterday afternoon for sure for these folks here. So Irish ferries and Stena Line, some nice video captured by Shrine Bruin. So I want to also talk a little bit here. This is a little bit of a short video today, unfortunately. But we've seen Ashley. It's now been and gone. And now what we're going to see is a kind of steady westerly airflow with showers and embedded gusty winds associated with that as well. But I want to look at the stratosphere. Obviously, we've got the various levels within the atmosphere, from stratosphere, the top, all the way down to the lower troposphere where our weather exists. But I want to show you a bit of a disconnect here between the upper levels of the stratosphere versus the low levels of the stratosphere. At 10 millibars, we are seeing the core of cold air, the polar vortex, becoming colder and stronger. This is the current situation here, looking down over the pole. If we skip out to 10 days from now, at 10 millibars, you can see that core continues to strengthen. Those purpley colours now representing a core of -70 or colder. Notice here it is still centered off the pole itself, which is quite interesting to note here. But if you look here at, that was the 10 millibar level, so that's the top of the stratosphere. If we move down to 50 millibars, which is the lower portion of the stratosphere, there is a very different look. Notice here that we've got quite a lot of blocking, so the green colours represent slightly warmer temperatures. You're still talking, obviously, well below freezing, but what I want to point out to you here is the fact that while the 10 millibar level, we're seeing the winds increase around the polar vortex, the core itself is cooling as you would expect at this time of year. But down in the lower portions of the stratosphere, the modelling is picking up and blocking. And with the MJO moving into the Central Pacific and the consequential blocking, high latitude blocking, redeveloping within the Arctic region, the modelling is seeing blocking within the lower stratosphere. Remember I showed you a couple of days ago, I think it was back on the big video back last Friday, discussing the fact that the winds within the polar stratosphere, the stratospheric circulation, is likely to start weakening once again. And it's likely in the response of this high latitude block and these mountains within the atmosphere returning to the Arctic And obviously the troposphere is a lot thinner over the pole as opposed to over the equator. The depth of the column is a lot greater within the warmer equatorial belt. The further north you go up towards the pole, it becomes a lot thinner, and therefore the atmosphere is a lot more responsive from bottom up, depending on the type of pattern that you have. But notice here, this is the initial, and keep in mind this look. So this is obviously at 10 millibars over the North Pole. You can see here quite a lot of cold, especially that core sitting closer to Asia as opposed to the North Pole. But notice here, as we skip towards 10 days from now, at the lower portion of the stratosphere, look at how much blocking there is showing up over the high latitudes, but also up towards the North Atlantic and Greenland here. This is representative of the atmosphere seeing the return of blocking up towards the North Atlantic and Greenland. If we look at this chart here, you will see exactly what I'm talking about here. So let me just skip and refresh this quickly here and see if the GFS ensemble is showing what I'm essentially telling you. To see if I'm right in what I'm saying here, let's have a look at the 500 millibar level, and let's look at the increments, the 5-day increments. Keep in mind, I've harped on for long enough now about this MJO rotating into a more amplified phase 7, 8, and 1. That is favourable for the return of high latitude blocking, Greenland blocking, and consequential troughiness over Eastern North America and Western Europe. So let's look at the 5-day increments of the GFS ensemble. The current model is updating, so we'll go to the 6Z model run, and this is the upcoming 5 days. So a textbook positive North Atlantic oscillation, Arctic oscillation at the moment. So it's essentially the opposite of what we are expecting, or what I am expecting to see happen over the next couple of weeks. But remember, there's the lag. So obviously that movement, that eastward enhanced thunderstorm activity into the Pacific Ocean, it takes a little time for the atmosphere to respond. It doesn't just happen instantly. But notice this image here: low heights, Greenland, Arctic; strong heights, subtropical region, further north over North America and Europe here. So this is a very mild pattern at the moment. This has been induced by the strong basically the MJO moving through the Indian Ocean into the maritime continent. That is what driven this pressure pattern. And as you lower the heights over the Arctic region as well, what ends up happening is you then allow the stratospheric polar vortex to become stronger. There's less frictional effects from troposphere up into the stratosphere, so those winds can then start to accelerate. The polar vortex becomes stronger. But what is interesting actually is the fact that the GFS ensemble, so this is, look at the time period, this is important, 31st of October to the 5th of November. This is still too early. But notice here that the pressure is strong over the UK and Ireland. That is very much a phase 6 MJO response. But by this stage, the MJO will have already been in phases 7 and 8 for a good week or so. But there's that lag effect. There's that the time it takes for the response to take place from the equator all the way up towards the Arctic region here. But let's look at the CFSV2 here and look at November. So it's still showing a lot of ridging over Western Europe, which is a little bit suspect if I'm being quite honest. But you notice here that we've got quite strong ridging. Remember I showed you the 50 millibar level showing quite a lot of strong ridging, northeastern North America up into the Baffin Straits towards Greenland here. So this is obviously for the entire month of November seen by the CFSV2. Let's look at the weeklies and see what it's showing here quickly. So this is the upcoming 7 days. Like the CFSV2, very strong ridging within the mid latitudes, negative heights up in the Greenland and the Arctic region. Week 2, you can see here again quite a lot of blocking, especially over the UK, Eastern North America. That's at phase 6. And then as we move into the coming weeks as well, we still have a little bit of a slow response from the modelling. So this is the big test. I might be wrong with this, and we don't see any response from the MJO. This is going to be the big question here, but I'm showing you the reasons why I think we're going to see things changing. And the modelling does sometimes back off from different ideas. But look at this here. We're in phases 5. We're going into phases 6. That would promote blocking over the UK and Western Europe, but then it rotates into phases 7 and eventually into 8 as well. So this is going to be a progress that may be slow, and that has to get taken into consideration as well. Looking at the Arctic oscillation here, so we're very, very positive at the moment, a very strong positive Arctic oscillation, but it is expected to go back into negative territory as we move into the month of November here. I think, really, to be honest with you, it's once you get into the middle to second half of November, that is when I think this pattern could get really interesting. And then as we step into the month of December, it could get interesting even more so. So this is the NAO as we move towards the next couple of weeks here. So notice it's firmly positive at the moment. It's expected to go back towards neutral as we move into the month of November. So that's it for today. Like, share, and subscribe. Lots of content getting thrown out here, so I would greatly appreciate a like, drop a comment, and hit that subscribe button. Much appreciated as always. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. I'll be back again tomorrow with more. Bye for now.